Ever, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today, we're making something absolutely irresistible, flaky, golden, and delicious cherry turnovers. These are so much easier to make than you might think, and the result is a baker-quality treat you can enjoy right at home. They're perfect for breakfast, a sweet snack, or even a simple dessert. So, if you're ready to whip up a batch of pure deliciousness, let's get started. First up, let's talk ingredients. The star of the show is, of course, the puff pastry. For convenience, I'm using a good quality, all-butter store-bought puff pastry. It saves a ton of time and still gives you that amazing flaky texture. If you have a favorite homemade recipe, feel free to use that. Next, for our cherry filling, you'll need about 2 cups of pitted cherries. You can use fresh or frozen. If you're using frozen, just make sure to thaw them completely and drain any excess liquid. We'll also need a little bit of sugar to sweeten things up, some cornstarch to thicken the filling, a squeeze of fresh lemon juice to brighten the flavor, and a splash of vanilla extract. For the finishing touches, we'll need an egg for an egg wash, which will give our turnovers that beautiful golden brown shine, and some coarse sugar for that extra crunch on top. That's it. Simple ingredients for a truly spectacular pastry. All right, let's make our cherry filling. It comes together in just a few minutes on the stovetop. Grab a medium-sized saucepan and add your pitted cherries. To that, add about 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. You can adjust this depending on the sweetness of your cherries. If they're a bit tart, you might want a little more. Then, sprinkle in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. The cornstarch is key to making sure our filling thickens up nicely and doesn't run out of the pastry while baking. Give everything a good stir to coat the cherries. Now, turn the heat on to medium and let it cook. As the cherries heat up, they'll start to release their juices. Keep stirring occasionally to prevent anything from sticking to the bottom of the pan. You'll see the mixture start to bubble and thicken. This should take about 5 to 7 minutes. Once the filling has a jam-like consistency and coats the back of a spoon, you know it's ready. A teaspoon de heat. Now, we'll stir in about 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. The lemon juice really balances the sweetness and makes the cherry flavor pop. Once it's all mixed in, transfer the filling to a bowl and let it cool down completely. This is a really important step. If you try to fill your pastries with hot filling, it will melt the butter in the puff pastry and you'll lose all those beautiful flaky layers. You can even pop it in the fridge to speed up the process. While our filling cools, let's get the puff pastry ready. Make sure your pastry is thawed but still cold. You want it to be pliable but not warm and soft. Lightly flour your work surface and gently unfold your puff pastry sheet. I like to give it a quick, gentle roll with a rolling pin just to even it out. We're not trying to make it super thin, just a nice, even rectangle. Using a sharp knife or a pizza cutter, we're going to cut the pastry into equal-sized squares. Depending on the size of your sheet, you can usually get about 6 squares, each roughly 4 to 5 inches. This size is perfect for a personal-sized turnover. Try to work quickly so the pastry stays cold. If your kitchen is warm, you can place the squares on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper and pop them back in the fridge for a few minutes before filling. Okay, our filling is cool and our pastry is cut. It's time for the fun part, assembly. Grab your pastry squares and your cool cherry filling. In a small bowl, whisk 1 egg with a splash of water to create our egg wash. This will act as our glue and also give the turnovers that gorgeous color. Take 1 square of pastry and lightly brush to adjacent edges with the egg. Wash. This will help seal the turnover shut. Now, spoon about 1 to 2 tablespoons of the cherry filling onto 1/2 of the square on the diagonal, leaving a small border around the edges. Don't overfill them, as tempting as it is. If you put too much filling, it will ooze out during baking and make a sticky mess. Once your filling is in place, gently fold the other half of the pastry over the filling to create a triangle. Press down firmly along the 2 edges you brushed with egg, washed to seal them together. To make sure they're extra secure, you can go along the edges with the tines of a fork, pressing down to crimp and seal them tightly. This also gives them that classic rustic turnover look. Carefully transfer the assembled turnover to a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Repeat this process with the remaining pastry squares and filling, making sure to leave some space between each turnover on the baking sheet so they have room to puff up. We're almost ready to bake. But first, a couple of final touches that make all the difference. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius. While it's preheating, let's finish our turnovers. Using a sharp knife, cut a couple of small slits on the top of each turnover. This allows steam to escape while they bake, which prevents the filling from bursting out the sides. Now, take your remaining egg, wash and brush the entire top surface of each turnover. Be generous with this. This is what will give them that deep golden brown, shiny, professional-looking finish. Finally, for a little extra sparkle and crunch, sprinkle the tops with some coarse sugar, like turbinado or demerara sugar. It adds a wonderful texture. Now, into the oven they go. Bake them for about 18 to 22 minutes. You'll know they're done when they are beautifully puffed up. A deep golden brown, and you can see the cherry filling bubbling slightly through the vents you cut. The smell in your kitchen is going to be absolutely heavenly once they're done. Carefully remove the baking sheet from the oven and let the turnovers cool on the pan for a few minutes before transferring them to a wire rack to cool completely. They are incredible oven, Sud-Ouest Bepassion. These cherry turnovers are fantastic on their own. But if you want to take them over the top, you can drizzle them with a simple powdered sugar glaze once they've cooled. Just mix some powdered sugar with a tiny bit of milk or lemon juice until you get a drizzly consistency, and there you have it. Perfect homemade cherry turnovers. Look at how flaky and golden they are. The contrast between the crisp pastry and the sweet, slightly tart cherry filling is just incredible. I hope you give this recipe a try. It's such a rewarding and delicious bake. Thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more easy and delicious recipes. Let me know in the comments if you make them. See you next time.